Hello guys, welcome to this guide. My name is Tom and I'm going to show you how to configure Pnetlab or vmid with Proxmox environment. So I hope you have already Proxmox set up as I do. So the first thing you need to do is to download Pnetlab OVA or vmid OVA. In my case, I just download Pnetlab from this link. I'm going to leave it on the description below. So I already downloaded, it's on my downloads folder, and then we're going to start to upload this image to Proxmox. But before, we need to create a new virtual machine, so let's create the VM. I leave in the ID as recommended 104, and I can name whatever you need. For operational system, I leave do not use any media, it's not needed. Then we go to system we can leave as default, and for disks you just need to choose your storage. In my case it will be local-lvm. Okay, then we can move for CPU. I just place 2 CPUs, sockets and core, and for more memory you can set up as much you need. I leave this. And for network, you can configure as needed. It depends on your environment. For me, it's just the bridge VMBR 0, and we can finish. Okay, let's wait a bit to create the machine. You see 104 has been created, and bottom we can see from logs, create status OK. Now the machine has been created. We can start importing now our image and perform the setup. Okay, I'm going to use PuTTY to connect to my Proxmox, and also we need to run WinSCP or any tool you have to upload the image for Proxmox. So I am using WinSCP. Let's connect to Proxmox. Okay, we see we are on the root folder. We need to change to /mp because the image is going to be automatically deleted later on. So that's why I like to place my files on that folder. So on the left side I'm going to change to downloads. Okay, I'm just deleting the previous image that I was testing. Okay, now on left side I go to downloads and copy the Pnetlab OVA to TMP on Proxmox. Okay, it's going to take a while, so I'm going to fast forward this video for now. Okay, it has been finished. So if you go to PuTTY CLI for Proxmox and ls/mp, we can see that Pnetlab OVA is there. So we can cd into this folder and run following command to unzip the OVA. So tar xvf and the name of the Pnetlab or vmid image that you have. You see that has been unzipped, and we just need to copy this first name for the vmdk file. Okay, so we do this command now to import the disk for the machine we created. You see the ID 104 is the ID for the machine PNET. Then QEMU import disk 104, name of the image, and you can choose the disk that you want to configure. In my case it will be local-lvm, and we run format ishare2, and we run the command format qcall2, and you see that there was an error because I did not choose the folder. So I need to go place /tmp / the name of the image. Now let it run. It will take a bit of seconds. Okay, after finishing, we can close PuTTY and WinSCP. We go back to Proxmox and edit the hardware settings for the virtual machine that we created. Here we can delete the previous hard disk that was created and add the new disk that we created. We can see the unused disk 0. We can edit and change the bus device to IDE and click add. For me, the only device that worked was changing to IDE. Okay, we can remove the previous disk that was created. In my case, it was this 32 gig, and we can delete this one and leave the 1 gig that we created. Okay. Okay, now we need to configure nested support for this machine. Okay, now we're going to configure the PNET machine as host mode. So I just run this command QEMU set 104 if CPU host. Okay, it's updated. Now we just need to change the boot order. So I disable everything and just enable the HD that we created. Okay, now when we power on, it's going to be booted by the HD. So we can start up the machine. Okay, it's going to boot. We can see that the Linux is already loading. It means that it's booting from the HD that we created. That's very important. If you don't go to this screen, you might have something wrong with your configuration. Okay, we can see that the Pnetlab is running and booting up. Let's wait a bit more. Okay, we see that it's working normally. We have the default username and password, root and spinet. We can log in, and it's going to request her to perform a few changes. And it's going to ask us to perform a few changes. You can change the password, DNS, IP address, so change accordingly. In my case, I'm going to add a static IP 192.168.1.250/24 mask and my default gateway for this network. Okay, for DNS, I'm going to use Google Public DNS and also OpenDNS. Okay, I don't use any NTP and no proxy, so I can just place OK, and the machine is going to reboot. Okay, once it's rebooted, we are ready to set up the ishare2. So for this case, I like to access the PNET machine through PuTTY because we need to copy and paste some commands, and from console on Proxmox it's not easy, so it's better to manage it through PuTTY. So I'm going to SSH into this machine that I just created. Okay, for username it's root and password. I mistyped the password, it's the new password that we just changed. Okay, now we go back to Lab Hub and go home. Here we can see ishare2. Go a bit below. Okay, there's the script for CLI. Just copy this entire script. Go to PuTTY again and paste. This script is going to perform everything for us. We just basically need to accept and change a few settings, but it's very basic. I leave everything as recommended, and I also recommend you to leave it as it is because it works perfect. Okay, now we can see that the ishare2 has been successfully installed, so we can run the command ishare2 commands now. So basically I would like to recommend you to check the documentation for ishare2, but it's very basic. You run the command ishare2 search and the name of the machine that you want, and also you can choose like QEMU, and going to show a lot of QEMU available images. And you can, instead of QEMU, you can just use the image name like Linux, Windows, or FMC, L2. Sometimes you can use whatever you want to search. Okay, on ishare2 documentation you can see more. So I can search for L2 and just going to install the image for switch. Okay, I'm going to install QEMU image. So in that case, I will choose 931. It's the ID of this image that I'm going to install. So now I can run the command ishare2 pull QEMU and the name of the image that I want to install. But first, let's go to the Pnetlab through the browser, and I'm going to use offline mode. You can use admin PNET, it's default, you can change it later, and just log in. Okay, now that you are logged in, create a new lab, name it whatever you want. Let's create this for test only. Okay, now I'm going to add a node. You can see that there's no node available like a switch or router or anything else. Just Docker and virtual PCs, that these are default. Okay, now I'm going to install the image. So go back to CLI and run the command ishare2 pull, and in my case will be QEMU image ID 931. So I run this command. And just is like that, ishare2 is going to install for us the image and fix permissions, and we don't need to use tools like WinSCP to copy the image and then SSH to PNET or even vmid and run the command again for fix permissions. I'm not sure if ishare2 works for vmid. I don't think so. It's only for Pnetlab, as Pnetlab is based on vmid. Okay. Okay, we can see now that the download is finished and fix permissions has been executed. Now let's go back to the web browser, and we can see here that the image is not showing, but we refresh the page and we can see now we have Cisco VIOS image, and we just add this image and start the switch. Okay, now the switch started. We can open this device. My case, it's opening PuTTY already because I have the tools installed. I will leave the link below so you can download the Windows tools where anything you're going to access on Pnetlab is going to be shown for you. So we will open like PuTTY or VNC on your machine instead of you using browser access. It's a bit laggy, so I would rather to use this PuTTY and VNC. Okay, we can see that the machine is booting up. It's working perfect now, and we can perform a few configurations. It is like a emulated device, and it can connect to real network, and we can set up this now just to make sure that it's working properly. Okay. Okay, now switch has been booted up and we can run commands like a real switch. So show IP interface brief, you can see we have this interface, show version, all commands might work properly. We have no physical connections. But now let's connect this switch to the real network. So the first thing we need to do is go to Pnetlab browser, add the new network. In my case, as we have the full configuration, we're going to use management cloud, which means it's the IP of the Pnetlab and this same subnet. And we're going to connect the physical connections on Giga 0. Okay, I already have this connection. You can see that it's going to change the status to up. Now let's configure this port. No switch port. And let's place as DHCP to see if it works and connect to my real network. Let's wait. We can see that I received DHCP IP. Let me try to ping my default gateway. You see it's working properly, and let's see if I can reach the internet. Yeah, it's reaching, it's working. So now I have the environment successfully set. Now if you need to add another image to perform your labs, you can just use ishare2 as I showed you. I recommend again to check the documentation and give me a comment if you need anything, maybe I can help. So I hope you liked it, you enjoyed, and see you next time.